People in the Las Vegas courtroom let out gasps when the judge read the decision. Austin, Chumlee, and Russell fell to the ground in shock because of the weight of their fate. The dramatic moment shocked everyone in the courtroom and showed how deeply people felt about the case. But what caused this very heated court case between the well-liked reality TV star and the law? Check out this more in-depth look at the heated court case that brought down the porn star's fan fave. Chumlee became one of the most entertaining reality TV stars thanks to his quick wit, laid-back attitude, and ability to make every episode of the hit history show Pawn Stars seem real. He was on TV for more than 10 years and did many interesting things, like buying a pinball machine, showing off how good he was at video games, and coming up with catchphrases. But he had an effect on more than just TV. His effect on the collectibles market, his work to make the gold and silver pawn shop more well-known, and his efforts to build his own personal brand made him a cultural icon from a normal pawn shop worker. His success on TV came from being naturally charismatic and likable, and from always being true to himself. At first, Chumlee was cast as the shop's comedic relief. He faced doubt, but he wouldn't let cliches stop him. Instead, he worked on becoming an expert in certain collectibles, which helped him become a valued part of the Pawn Stars cast. Fans loved him because he was honest and charming, which made him the show's rising star. What made Chumlee stand out was his ability to connect with viewers on a deep human level. This made him one of the most believable reality TV stars. Chumlee became famous on Pawn Stars, but his business efforts showed how smart he is when it comes to planning ahead. He used his rising personal brand to start businesses like a candy shop, a clothing line, and personal appearances, all of which made him millions of dollars. This financial success would later help pay for his legal defense when shocking charges came out, which shocked his loyal fans. When Pawn Stars became popular, it changed both the show and Chumlee in very different ways. The History Channel show kept doing well and became one of the most popular reality shows on cable TV, with over 500 episodes and airing all over the world. The show's renown was strengthened by high production values and an educational approach to entertainment. For his part, Chumlee had to deal with the problems that came with being famous in the South. At first, people liked the fun-loving character they knew from TV, and his public appearances drew huge crowds, showing that his fame went beyond the show. But the growing gap between his public image and his personal problems led to more and more inner strife. In a 2017 interview with Entertainment Weekly, that she was living two very different lives. But fame makes you feel like you can't be hurt. It was important to me to enjoy every moment, especially since everyone knew who I was. People with this way of thinking lived more and more luxuriously. While porn stars kept working on historical items and negotiations, Chumlee's personal life changed. He now has a mansion, luxury cars, and a huge collection of sneakers and jewelry. His social media posts about his expensive lifestyle got millions of views and gave him a public image that was very different from when he worked in a porn shop. By the middle of the 2010s, the difference between his work success and personal excess had grown, with both going to new heights. Millions of people watched Porn Stars at their peak, and special shows drew over 7 million. At the same time, Chumlee's personal brand was growing, which led to the opening of Chumlee's candy store on the Las Vegas Strip and the growth of his merchandise line. Behind the scenes, though, he was having a hard time with the stress of his new fame, which was threatening to ruin his career. He talked a lot about how hard it was to go from living a normal life to being famous. In a rare honest interview, he said, "Going from being a normal guy to someone who can't go to Walmart without taking 500 photos sent me spiraling. I turned to things that helped me cope, and it nearly cost me everything." While the show became increasingly polished and professional, Chumlee's personal struggles worsened. By 2016, the gap between his public image and private reality had grown significantly. On television, he remained the lovable, sometimes naive character that fans adored. Off-screen, however, his life had taken a troubling turn, and soon, those issues would come to light in a dramatic and very public way. After years of excess, Chumlee's legal troubles began with a police raid on his Las Vegas home in March 2016. The search was initially part of a sexual assault investigation. "We executed a search warrant as part of an ongoing investigation," explained Officer Rodriguez in a press conference that quickly became a hot topic in entertainment news. "What we discovered during that search led to additional charges unrelated to the initial investigation." The raid sparked widespread discussion, with media outlets analyzing its potential consequences for both Chumlee and the future of porn stars. Just a week later, TMZ published shocking details that left fans in disbelief. Authorities had found guns, drugs, and drug paraphernalia throughout his home, an image completely at odds with the fun-loving personality viewers had come to know. "This isn't the Chumlee we know from TV," a fan wrote in a viral social media post. "This changes how I watch the show." This kind of trouble never seemed to happen to him. There seemed to be a breaking point when the gap between his public persona and his private fight grew. Within weeks, officials put together a case against him and charged him with several felonies. The charges included having drugs and weapons, and if found guilty, the person could spend up to 20 years in jail. The case wasn't just about the legal consequences though. It also put Chumlee's carefully built public image at risk, which was key to his job and financial success. The claim shocked everyone in the entertainment business, and some experts said it might be the end of his career as a reality TV star. Later, papers filed in court showed what else the police had found in Chumlee's home. Multiple guns were listed in the evidence logs. Among them were assault-style guns, illegal drugs, and items used to hide them. Many people were confused about how one of reality TV's most famous stars could have ended up in such a bad position after the huge number of disturbing discoveries. A big change happened when the sexual assault investigation that started the search did not lead to charges because there was not enough proof. However, the prosecutors said that the defendant's way of life put too many people in danger. A document from the prosecution stressed the need to seek the harshest punishments possible because of the number and types of things found. The hearing started with a tense mood as Chumlee walked into the courtroom. Flashing cameras caught his somber face. The other porn stars weren't there, which stood out. He was once a well-liked TV star, but now he had to face the law. The prosecutor said in the opening statement, "Your Honor, this case involves serious violations of laws about controlled substances and weapons." There was evidence that the defendant's home had a lot of illegal drugs and guns. When pictures of the things that were taken were shown in court, things got tense. As particularly damning proof was shown, Chumlee kept his eyes down and occasionally shook his head. Cross-examination made things more intense. "Detective, are you saying that Mr. Russell was running a business that sold drugs?" Chumlee's lawyer asked a question. The officer replied strongly that the quantity and types of drugs found suggest more than just personal use. The lawyer replied, "But you found no scales, packaging materials or distribution records that are usually linked to drug dealing." Talks about how guns have made things more tense. "Do you agree that Mr. Russell really loves collecting things, including tools from the past?" the lawyer for Chumlee asked. The firearms expert said straight out that collecting needs the right licenses and safekeeping. Chumlee, who looked upset, leaned in to whisper to his lawyer, which made the judge tell him to be quiet unless he was going to witness. Legal experts had their say on possible sentences. According to former prosecutor James Wilson, these charges usually lead to a lot of time in jail. When guns and controlled drugs are used together, they make the law very strict. The defense pointed out that Chumlee had never been in trouble with the law before, and that his fame had made it harder to tell the difference between right and wrong. His lawyer said, "My client got stuck in a cycle of excess that made him lose his judgment. He never meant to hurt anyone, and has been a well-liked public person in general." Fans paid close attention as the trial got closer to its end. Not only was this a legal fight, but it could also be the end of a TV star, whose popularity came from being easygoing and relatable. The plea bargaining process became very important, and both legal teams had very heated talks about possible solutions. The results were terrible. Chumlee's freedom was at risk, and he could face a long prison sentence. It was risky for Chumlee's job, image, and future as a porn star. It is thought that millions of dollars will be lost. Everything was on the line, no matter what happened. A lot of people gathered outside the building on the last day of the trial. Some fans held signs of support, and others wore items from the porn star. Inside, things were tense as Judge Michael Davidson got ready to give Chumlee his term after he agreed to a plea deal. In the case of State versus Russell, the judge said, "This court has carefully looked over the plea deal that the prosecution and defense came to, taking into account all the factors that make the crime more or less likely to happen." The only sound in the courtroom was the rustle of papers. Chumlee stood there with his hands at his sides, slightly shaking. "The person has admitted to one crime charge of having a weapon and one misdemeanor charge of drug possession," the judge said. The rest of the charges were dropped as part of the deal. While Chumlee's lawyers looked at each other carefully, his face stayed tense. However, the court had to recognize how serious these crimes were. The judge made it clear that having illegal drugs or guns that aren't properly listed is very dangerous for the public. Chumlee was given a clear sentence. He would be on probation for 3 years, have to go to therapy, be tested for drugs on a regular basis, and have to give up all the things that were taken during the raid. The most shocking thing was still to come though. If he broke the terms of his probation, he would automatically get 3 years in jail with no more hearings. The judge said that the court will accept the plea deal under these terms. "Mr. Russell, you have been given 3 years of probation with close supervision. Any violation will get you locked up right away for 3 years. Do you know what these words mean?" The judge's words hit Chumlee like a punch in the gut. People had been worried for months and were afraid they might get a term that lasts for decades. This should have been a moment of relief. Instead, the fact that he was so close to losing everything and the huge amount of pressure to do everything right made him feel like he could not breathe. As the judge kept going over the rules, his face turned pale and sweat started to form on his forehead. The judge also said that the offender had to do 200 hours of community service. His voice got weaker as Chumlee's ears started to ring. It looked like the room was leaning. His lawyer knew something was wrong and put a hand on his arm to calm him down, but it wasn't enough. Millions of people love the reality star for how carefree he is, but all of a sudden he fell forward. The whole courtroom let out a gasp as security rushed toward him. The TV star was out cold in front of the court and everyone else. A nurse in the gallery yelled through the crowd, "He's having a panic attack. Allow him to be alone. Get water for someone." As doctors rushed to help him, cameras caught the dramatic moment of the famous porn star's personality, Chumlee, lying on the courtroom floor. This picture would soon be all over the entertainment news around the world. His legal problems had finally worn him down in a way that could be seen outside of court. Rick Harrison showed up for a short time to check on his worker and friend, while worried fans gathered in groups, with many showing shock at the case's dramatic ending. But the medical emergency took center stage right away, making the legal decision less important. Many people were worried about Chumlee Strong and Pawn Star's family, and fans shared updates and messages of support on social media and in entertainment news sources. 3 days later, Chumlee released a video statement from his home. He still looked shaken, but his smile was starting to come back. He said, trying to sound like a weak Joe, "It seems like facing the consequences of my actions gives you anxiety attacks. The doctor tells me I need to pick better things. I know he's right." What he did to show himself to the public seemed to change after the help. Surprisingly, execs at the History Channel were said to be in favor of him coming back to the show once he healed. A person who did not want to be named said that the network saw his court problems as a chance for a real redemption story. Officials wouldn't say what their plans were for the future, but they also wouldn't say that he couldn't still. The next thing Chumlee said in public was more serious. "I let fame make me lose my mind." He said, "I made mistakes that could have cost me everything. I'm thankful for this second chance, and I promise my friends I won't waste it." People in the entertainment business talked about what he said. One seasoned reality TV producer said, "This legal battle has changed his path." People like stories about people who change, and Chumlee now has one that feels real. People who saw him said that he seemed to be focused on his legal business activities and following all the court's rules. Supporters quickly flooded online forums with positive posts about his possible return, but neither Chumlee nor the network gave any exact dates. He gave a controlled answer when asked directly about going back to TV. "My main goals right now are to get healthy and make better choices. The show has been like family to me for years, and I hope to make them proud again." What started out as a scandal that would end my career turned out to be a possible new chapter. Interest in porn stars remained high, and many viewers were eager to see Chumlee back on screen. For longtime fans who had watched him rise from an unknown worker in a porn shop to a reality TV star, the courtroom drama served as a reminder of the dangers of his sudden collapse. Had not only been a breaking point, it may have been the moment when a more honest version of himself began to show through.